After nearly a quarter of a century lying about his involvement in one of the greatest tragedies in American history, Trump is at it again.
It's all fake news.
It's really hard to fathom, but he's been documented lying over 30,000 times. I mean, that would be hard to do, right? And while his lies about his relationship with Epstein and 13-year-old girls is evil and malevolent, it actually gets worse. While Pete O'Donnell is tearing down whatever's left of the GOP,
it's sitting on my desk.
In my opinion, there are actually worse lies that Trump has told. Now, some of his lies actually make sense for people like Trump, a sociopath with absolutely zero character or integrity, like lies to protect him from obstruction of justice charges, or his grifting, or the attempted insurrection.
A pardon of myself.
But some of his lies are a combination of his overall debased humanity and his advancing dementia, like the time he made up the story about Ted Kaczynski and his uncle when there was absolutely no reason to do it, and it was easily fact-checked.
Although my uncle was at MIT, one of the great professors, 51 years, whatever. He was the longest serving professor in the history of MIT, 3 degrees in nuclear, chemical, and math. Kaczynski was one of his students. Do you know who Kaczynski was?
So how do we know this story could not even possibly be true? Well, first of all, the president's late uncle, the esteemed MIT professor John Trump, died in 1985. The Unabomber was not revealed to be Ted Kaczynski until 1996, the year he was arrested, more than a decade later. So there is frankly no reason why Donald Trump would be asking anyone about Ted Kaczynski. Number two, that's the case even if Kaczynski had been one of his uncle's students, which he wasn't. John Trump taught at MIT for decades. Kaczynski went to Harvard and the University of Michigan.
But the real lies, the ones that are emblematic of his sickness, are about 9/11. And the volume of bullshit he still spills about that pivotal moment in American history is mind-boggling. Here's Donnie Diapers this weekend at the Naval Station in Norfolk, claiming he actually tried to warn the world about Osama bin Laden a year before 9/11.
We don't want to be politically correct anymore. And history will never forget that it was the SEALs who stormed the compound at Osama bin Laden and put a bullet in his head. Remember that? And please remember, I wrote about Osama bin Laden exactly 1 year ago, 1 year before he blew up the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to watch Osama bin Laden. And the fake news would never let me get away with that statement unless it was true. But I said 1 year before to Pete Hegseth, I said 1 year before, where's Pete? In the book, I wrote, whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden, and I didn't like it, and you got to take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center, so...
He never did any of those things. It's all a lie. And listen to his self-aggrandizing on events that never happened. It's a real sickness that is spreading.
A very talented, asshole-type person.
Trump has lied repeatedly about 9/11, and the lies, each and every one, are about trying to make him out into something that he is not or ever will be. For example, Trump said he was at ground zero with the first responders.
Many of those affected were firefighters, police officers, and other first responders. And I was down there also. But I'm not considering myself a first responder. But I was down there. I spent a lot of time down there with you.
And that statement was greeted by silence from the people in that audience who were down there. If Donald Trump spent a lot of time down there with them, they would have applauded. Instead, the people who know the truth were silent. Richard Alls was a deputy chief with the New York Fire Department on 9/11 and was in the Rose Garden today when the president lied to his face. He told the New York Times today that he spent many months at Ground Zero and he never saw Donald Trump. This is what makes Donald Trump such a pathological liar.
Since September 11th, we have lost more than 2,000 first responders and survivors to 9/11 related cancers and illnesses.
And to pretend you were part of the people who are actually there, scouring through the wreckage of thousands of bodies, many of whom are dying today from the toxins in the air from that afternoon. Well, it shows you the colossal cocksucker this obese toxin truly is. And Trump also lied about sending workers to Ground Zero as well.
How have you spoken to any of your men? Do you know how they're reacting to this? Because emotionally, this must be so incredibly difficult.
Well, there are a lot of them, but they've never seen bodies like this.
Again, an easy lie to disprove. So what was Trump doing on 9/11? Well, he went on TV and bragged, and this is hard to believe, that the collapse of the Twin Towers made his buildings the tallest in the city.
You have one of the landmark buildings down in the financial district, 40 Wall Street. Did you have any damage, or did you know what's happened down there?
Well, it was
was an amazing phone call I made. 40 Wall Street actually was the second tallest building in downtown Manhattan, and it was actually, before the World Trade Center, was the tallest. And then when they built the World Trade Center, it became known as the second tallest, and now it's the tallest.
Trump also lied about a $10,000 donation to help 9/11 victims. He said it over 20 times in print and media. But Scott Stringer, who was the New York City comptroller, he said we couldn't find any record of a donation by Trump himself or any Trump entity to either the Twin Towers Fund or related charitable initiatives. But that doesn't mean that Trump didn't have his own handout. Trump applied for it and received $150,000 in state funds intended to help small businesses affected by the attacks, despite the fact his businesses were not affected. And Trump is an outspoken racist. Remember the China virus comment?
Okay, why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no.
So, of course, Tiny Fingers didn't hesitate to make up one of the biggest lies and easiest to fact check about Muslims living in the U.S. when the attacks occurred.
Trump also stubbornly defending his widely debunked claim that there were large crowds in New Jersey celebrating the day of the 9/11 attacks.
Tailgate style. Tailgate. You know what that means? Tailgate. That means football games, Ohio State, thousands of people in parking lots, on roofs.
While government officials and even the reporter who wrote that story say the investigation uncovered no such celebration, Trump points to his Twitter followers as evidence to the contrary.
So all of a sudden, I'm getting all of these tweets. I saw it. I was there.
And of course that never happened. No one has ever claimed to witness that lie because it never happened, except in the diseased brain of this pustulant skin tag. And Trump held on to this story even after it was fact-checked repeatedly. He mocked a disabled reporter who simply asked him if he could produce a witness. Look, Trump will lie about anything. About the hardworking immigrants in this country, about LGBT, minorities, and, well, anyone or anything he sees as a threat. But the worst lie, in my opinion, was when Trump claimed to see people jumping from the Twin Towers, when he simply couldn't have.
Trump is saying he watched from his Manhattan apartment as people jumped from the Twin Towers on 9/11.
I have a window in my apartment that specifically was aimed at the World Trade Center because of the beauty of the whole downtown Manhattan. And I watched as people jumped, and I watched the second plane come in.
While people were seen jumping from the towers that day, Trump's apartment in Midtown is roughly 4 miles from where the World Trade Center's towers stood.
Many people jumped, and I witnessed it. I watched that.
I mean, come on, right? I don't think I'm being too dramatic when I say the world is in trouble, and the person in charge of the most powerful military in the world is quite possibly not only the least qualified, but the most dangerous as well. But hey, if after all you just heard and saw, you still don't believe me, and you want to believe this,
Has been a witch hunt.
well, as a saying goes, you can't fix stupid.
Goddamn right. I kept my underwear on.
Whether the women like it or not.
Suck my fat one.
You're a nasty person.
I think the president is definitely f***ing Satan.
They know how to get to me.
They had what?
Bloated and fat and disgusting.
Go fuck yourself.
We're a nation that speaks English.
Look, if something like that thing's ugly.
Who you talking to?
I don't want to talk about this stuff.
Am I wrong?
Yes.
Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.